What's good, guys? Today is August 22nd. Here's a breakdown on today's price action here. So going into market open today, we had Powell speaking at 10 a.m. and then Trump at noon. So obviously on a day like this, got to be super careful, super patient, don't want to force anything. And on top of that, I've already had a really good week, up over 5R on the week. So definitely was not trying to force any trades. But there were two setups that I was looking at that I did not execute on, and I'll break down exactly why I did not take those trades. So off market open here, we got a aggressive move to the downside. Price came down and swept out these 15-minute lows. We were also delivering out of a bullish 1 hour fair value gap. So I'll come in here and zoom in. So as we can see, this wick here come down and we fill this bullish 1 hour fair value gap and get a really good reaction back to the upside. So for me, my confluences are starting to align to take a long position here. The next thing that we need, obviously, is momentum and a clean inverse. And as we can see, we are getting really good momentum. After that sweep, we've tapped into the bullish gap and things are starting to look clean for some sort of long entry here. And we leave behind a bearish 1 minute gap right here. Nice gap, good size. Just next thing we want to see is this be inversed with good speed. We had higher targets above, right here, and then we had some more targets up here as well. The price very well could have moved to if we did enter this trade. The problem with this trade is where the candle inversed this 1 minute gap. So as we can see, this candle failed to inverse this gap. If it would have, right here, closed slightly above, I would have taken longs there. Stop loss obviously below the inverse because we formed an order block here as well. That was super nice. Problem is the candle that inversed this gap closed up here. So this candle that inversed the gap already took out these internal highs and these 1 hour highs as well before closing. So for my model, this trade was invalid because this is where I would have gone break even. So if we already take my break even point out before before even entering the trade, obviously it's not going to be valid. So obviously stayed out of that. And then after that, I'm like, you know what, let's wait for Powell. Powell speaking at 10 a.m. And as we can see, we get a massive candle to the upside. This shit was like almost 200 points to the upside, pretty crazy in 1 minute. So obviously a lot of bullish momentum, a lot of buyers stepping into the market here. And after that, sometimes you might look to take some sort of retrace entry, but for me, I was like, probably not going to be taking anything today. There's a shit ton of buyers stepping into the market. We already took out all of my targets here. There was a decent setup up here. This was decent. I personally, this was not good enough for me to take, just because the confluences didn't really align. We didn't really sweep out. We weren't delivering off of a high, but we did tap into a bearish 1 hour gap right here. And this could have been this was a decent setup for some sort of retrace entry. And the reason I didn't want to take a retrace entry on top of all this was because of how that candle printed after Powell stepped on stage. 200 points to the upside is pretty dramatic, pretty crazy. So that it takes a lot of buyers to step into the market to print a candle of that size. But we did have two bullish 1 minute gaps right here. There was also a 2 minute, but I'm not going to jump on the 2 minute here. And you would have entered short off of this. We tapped into the bearish gap, got good momentum back to the downside. And I would have been targeting this. I think we left behind like a 5 minute gap here, and this obviously would not have hit. So glad that I stayed out of that. And yeah, other than that, looks like we had some consolidation through here. Decent setup. Let's see. Price failed to take out that low, but we did get a V shape here. But yeah, nothing else that I really see. Those were kind of the two setups that I was looking at that I did not end up executing on. And I am completely fine with that. You don't always have to take a trade, especially after a super good week. 3 wins, 1 loss, ending up over 5R. So super happy with how this week turned out, and hopefully we can get some cleaner price action in the days to follow. Next week, hopefully we can take some trades and price actions clean. So that's what we can wish for. Hope you guys have a really good weekend, and I'll be back on here next week. Peace.